Madam Chair, we have 7 minutes before start.
Test.
Test.
Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Test one.
Yes, he is. He is.
I was going to say, they have some more engineers showing up.
Who's in there?
Genius.
Of interest. Will do.
So what's this one?
I want to hear it later.
Supposed to be built this week. I haven't heard anything. They've changed it yet.
I'll make it to 11:30.
Five thirty?
Madam Chair, it is 5:30.
It's our timekeeper.
You guys over there will Kathy's mic.
Good evening, everyone. It's 5:30, so I'm going to call this meeting of Planning and Zoning to order. Welcome to everyone. We're going to start with a roll call, shall we?
Yes, ma'am. Steve Thomas. Tim Dooley.
Here.
Holly Rickard.
Here.
Emily Kirchner.
Here.
Cindy Scroggins.
Here.
Jeff Lawrence.
Here.
Daryl Whitworth.
Here.
Jim Giroux.
Here.
Janice Menking.
Here. All right, we have a quorum, so we're going to get started with item number 4, which is public comments. If there is anyone here who would like to make public comments on any item, whether it's on the agenda or not, now is the time to speak. Is there anyone here who wants to make any public comments this evening? All right. Yes, sir. You've signed up. Jim Rader, please come forward.
Hey, Jim Rader, thanks for the time. I really don't know what I want to say just yet because I don't know what the plan is for the development or the change in zoning for Smokehouse in West Live Oak. So I was hoping to hear that, but if I have to speak now, I'll say in general, I'm against it. I feel like there's been enough development in that neighborhood with the beginning and Madrona going in there, so-called affordable housing. Going in there and with all the traffic it's created, you know, it's affordable housing, but see luxury vehicles, swimming pools going in, lots of traffic. I clean up a 5-gallon bucket full of trash off the road on West Live, off my part of the road about every week. And I mean, we like, you know, we like kind of being more in the country, not in the city. And it's becoming like the city. And traffic, people honking at you. I just don't care for it. I don't know what the plan is with that piece of property. So, you know, those are my general reactions, but I'd like to know more.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
We'll all learn it together.
Anyone else who has any comments to make? All right, not then we'll go on to item number, the public hearings, item number 5A. Request Z 2205, request by Brandon Weinhammer, applicant to allow a proposed land use of a single-family residential detached in the Central Business District CBD for the property located at 419 West Main Street. I entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Make that motion.
Motion by Daryl, a second by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, Brandon? You're up.
I'll jump in.
Okay.
So this property is a current day spa, I believe, at 419 West Main. The owner is wanting to utilize this property as a personal residence. So anything in the CBD for single-family detached requires a CUP in the CBD. And that goal is because obviously we have limited commercial areas and we want to try and get the highest and best use out of it. However, given the fact that it is a spa, the impact, a loss of sales tax is relatively small. And it also does help to have citizens living along the area because they can activate the nightlife, they can walk out, have restaurants, eat. And so we think having someone living there will probably generate just the same or equal sales tax as we have. So staff recommends approval of the requested CUP.
All right. Is there anyone here who wants to make any comments on this, this request?
Move to go out of public hearing back into regular session.
A motion by Tim, a second by Jim. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, let's go to action item number 6A, discussion, consideration, and recommendation of request Z 2205. All right, since Jason's already talked, anybody have any questions for Brandon or anyone?
What's on either side of it?
There's various commercial, so I think most of it is the Crenwogie property on one side. And then I do not remember on the other side. Yeah, more
All
Crenwogie
Crenwogie,
property.
yeah.
So various stages of use. I mean, it's-
Yeah, Brandon Weinhammer, SKP Architects. The property to the west is Kevin's father's house, so that would be Steve Montgomery. So he's wanting to live here next door to his father, which is one of the main objectives there.
And he's aware he's moving into a central business
He
district with
does.
all the noise and
He
traffic and
Very much
everything
so.
related, so we're not gonna hear a lot of complaining.
No, he's
I've
very
not
well
lived
aware
there
of that,
before.
yes.
Okay, as long as he's aware, I'm fine with
He's already called code enforcement.
it. I was gonna say, Trash can lids this high? Yeah, okay. Those are all my questions.
Any other questions, comments?
Ready for a motion?
I'm ready for a motion.
Make a motion to approve Z 2205.
All right, a motion by Jim, second by Daryl. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries on that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brandon. All right, we're going to go to action, to item, the public hearing 5B, request Z 2204 by Joe Salinas Jr. to consider the following. Number one, a request for future land use classification change from low-density residential, LDR, to a medium-density residential, MDR, for approximately 4.332 acres of land described as GE County number 192, located at the southwest intersection of West Live Oak Street and Smokehouse Road, 1129, 1161, and 1145 West Live Oak Street. And two, a request zoning change from single-family residential R1 to mixed residential R2 for approximately 4.332 acres of land described as GE County number 192, located at the southwest intersection of West Live Oak and Smokehouse Road, 1129, 1161, and 1145 West Live Oak Street. Number three, a requested future land use classification change from low-density residential to medium-density residential for approximately 0.508 acres of land described as GE County number 192, located at 150 feet south of 1161 West Live Oak Street. And four, a requested voluntary annexation and a proposed zoning classification of mixed residential for approximately 0.508 acres of land described as GE County number 192, located 150 feet south of 1161 West Live Oak Street. I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Make a motion to open public hearing.
Motion by Jim. And a second.
Second.
Second by Cindy. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, Jason, are you going to make the presentation or is there?
You want me to? Go for it.
If you don't mind, I'll cover this one. There's a
Okay.
lot of moving pieces, so I'm going to cover this as one big project, even though there's 4 requests. And there is a rhyme or reason to why we listed them in those order. So normally I would start with the annexation, but I'm gonna do that last because we want to talk bringing it into a consistent zone. So the subject area that you see here highlighted, is in the current city limits. It is the future land use plan calls this for low density residential. The applicant, and it's currently zoned R1. The applicant would like to rezone this to R2 mixed residential. I believe the plan is for, short-term rentals to be developed on the site. If we look at the future land use plan again, given the area of West Live Oak and Smokehouse Road, if we look at the beginnings, those are R1A products. That's kind of what could be developed in there as far as density as well for the applicant, so it is consistent. So the applicant would like to change his density from LDR to MDR and then request the zoning change from R1 to R2 for that parcel. The section here that we see on the annexation area is a donut hole that was done in 2019. The applicant entered into a non-annexation agreement. This was an ag use at the time. So they want to bring this one in as an R2 as well to match the requested zoning on the other track. So that's why we're kind of doing it last. And so if council or P&Z recommends approval of the medium density residential, then he would ask for approval of the annexation and zoning of Part 2. Again, looking at the area in development and kind of the R1A lots, which is allowed in R2, staff does recommend approval of all requests as presented. So I know that may have been a little confusing, so I'll ask any questions if you have any.
Thanks, thank you. Mr. Salinas, do you have any other comments you'd like to make on this?
May I just quickly
Please.
address a few things? Hopefully
Please.
we'll answer some questions. Thank you, Jason, for that. Just a quick update on everything. Of course, this has been family land since 1910. My great grandfather purchased it. The homes that are on there currently were built in the 30s and 40s for his sons that went off to fight for World War II. So again, that brings a little bit of an idea of the land itself and its history. There's 3 of us that remain, 3 Salinas families that actually retain this particular land. And to just cut it short, basically this is our solution for affordable housing for our own families. Because the land is already bought, paid for, done. With the annexation that was given to us as R1, only allows 1 dwelling and 1 accessory dwelling. There are currently about 9 of us that would be looking to move to this particular plot of land. So that being said, either we come up with $4.2 million as 9 family individuals to purchase said 9 homes here in town, or with R2 rezoning, we are allowed to build our own homes at approximately $200,000, or what we would consider affordable housing. That's the main reason for the rezoning.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's a good explanation. We appreciate that. Is there anyone else here who would like to make any comments about this application? Did you have some more comments, Mr. Rader, after that?
Yes, thank you. So it's just for family members?
It's just for family. This is non-developmental for any outside development. At this generation and the next generation, we're not viable to sell any reason whatsoever.
Family company.
It's a family company. That's retained in the family. Well, we're the last 3 that actually own them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. All right, any other comments before we?
Someone
Close the
mentioned
public hearing.
STR.
We're gonna, yeah, that was Jason.
So yes, and I apologize if I was
That's okay,
inaccurate.
Jason.
We'd had that conversation as part of DRC and the applicant wasn't sure. You know, he said maybe at some point down the road, they wanted to consider that. So again, for staff purposes, we look at potential of the zoning R2. That's duplexes, that's townhomes. We're comfortable with, you know, if they got the zoning and sold and someone came in and wanted to do apartments, we would be comfortable with the proposed uses that are allowed in R2 in that area.
I think it's a good plan to put all of the Salinas in one piece of.
Absolutely.
Where they are.
You can look at each and every one of the homes and feel good about it.
I'm surprised y'all get along enough.
We've chiseled off the rest. Let's put it that way.
All right.
Make a motion,
Any,
we go out of public-
uh,
are we in public hearing?
we're still in public
I
hearing,
make a
yes.
motion, we go out of public hearing.
All right, have a motion by Jim and a second by Daryl to close the public hearing. Any other
Before
discussion?
we officially close it, we had someone come in and I don't know,
Oh,
just in case he wants to speak on an item.
Okay, yeah, I'm here to talk about the rezoning.
yes. We have just talked about that. Mr. Salinas just discussed it. Do you have some questions or comments about it?
Yeah.
Come on up to the microphone. You just made it. You just made it in time.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So my questions were, it's my understanding they've applied for R2 in order to put STRs on the property. Is that right or is that wrong?
R2, yes, but not STR.
Okay, so R2 to do what
Mr.
you,
Salinas, just explain it.
Again, it's for the family, it's for our.
okay? So is there going to be, along with that, is there going to be some kind of secondary restriction to the R2 zoning to not allow STRs or other? So later on, he could do STRs if he wanted to, correct? Okay. So, I mean, that tent's really loud. I'll just step back.
Can't adjust it, sorry.
That's all right. I'll just step back. I think everybody can hear me. Well, I would think that, some of the things out, I live out on Smokehouse Road. We talked about that. We're looking at the property, we're looking at what you can do with R2 in the future. Live Oak's not a commercial street. It's still a county road. Smokehouse is still a county road, even though it's been annexed. I'm not sure when they're supposed to improve the road, but I've been told somewhere between 4 to 6 years is when to improve Smokehouse Road. I think you can get away with doing some R1A if that's what you want to do, since R1A is next to you, and still get and do some kind of affordable housing, but which is what Mimi was supposed to do and did not. But changing to R2, and then it just to me, it opens the can of worms for future development in the rural area, rural households, and rural homes. So I'm a little worried about the direction it allows them to take. Like I said, Mimi sat there and said she was going to do affordable housing. She didn't do it. She sat there and I watched her talk about it. And you allow the R2 zoning, and it just allows them to do kind of whatever they want. So those are my comments.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
Don't make a liar out of Joey here.
I know.
I'm totally not. I'm not used to speaking publicly.
Can you get closer to the microphone? That'll make it worse.
I talk to 6-year-olds every day. So, but my comment is, I understand their position, but we've been living here a long time. Not just their family, but my own family. I'm married into the Salinas family. Our family has been here for more than 120 years, and now we see ourselves not being able to live in the town where our parents and great-grandparents brought us. And so I do want to say that I do understand your position, but I want to have a place for my children to grow up here in Fredericksburg and not have to move to Kerrville or some other place when they work right here, and they're what do you call it? They're adding to the city because I hope they're considered good citizens. I do, and but I think that as a small plot of land, I don't see the problem in letting our own families grow up here in Fredericksburg. It's not affordable here to live in Fredericksburg. It's just not. And I think it's a shame that our own heritage, our own legacy, our own children can't grow up in the town that I grew up in. I love it. There's some parts that I don't love about it. I get it. You know, I have to go down Main Street too. But I avoid it as much as I can. But you know, that's my position also, that we also have to think that, you know, we want to have people that are vested, that are interested in Fredericksburg. You know, and that's I would say that's our family. You know, we want to be able to grow up, have our, you know, children stay here, not have to move away. So I thank you for listening. I understand, but I don't see that as a problem. I know for a fact that Albino's uh, great grandfather, that was his thought when he bought that property. He wanted it to be like Selena's little Selena'sville, you know, and that didn't happen right away. Like he said, you know, the men went away. They went to fight, and you know, and so when jobs, everything got messed up, people left. And this is all that's left of us here. And we'd like to stay here. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? Which option you want to look at it more, or are you just looking to put close together?
Well, under R1, they can only build one.
So or two that we want.
Correct.
I mean, I totally understand. Yeah. And I'm okay with that. That's I'm worried about the mixed use side.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Anyone else want to make any comments?
I understand. And I'm not really interested. I gotta say, right now, I'm only worried about my children. They're grown, but I also think that, you know, this was bought way before any of this happened. Unfortunately, the subdivision right behind us, you know, honestly, like we didn't have a button there. That, you know, that is already a done deal. And so I understand, but then I also think that that the stay in Fredericksburg. If I'm not looking for that right now, but if Zoe or his family wanted to do that, you know, I see a lot of places everywhere else restricting our land that was involved. Really, I mean, not that anything's fair in this, but I don't think that's fair. Like I said, I'm not really looking to do that. I just want my children to go and have their children. But I don't see that's fair.
I can't.
All right.
Well,
Thank you.
I think we're
Yeah.
gonna move on,
Yeah, we're gonna-
and so I can answer
Yeah.
some questions.
Madam Chair, I make a move, we go out of public hearing 2204.
All right, a motion by Jim. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Polly. And all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. So let's go to action item number 6B, request Z 2204 by Joe Salinas Jr. Consider the following, the discussion, consideration, and recommendation. Do I need to read all these all over again? No, for number B1, B2, B3, and B4. So does anyone else have any questions or comments on these four?
Does this have to be 4 actions or 1?
You don't need to read it, but we do need 4 separate.
4 separate motions.
Do we have utilities in yet, and when is utilities coming?
Sorry, utilities are probably 6 to 8 months away. They will be there by the end of the year. They've gone through, I think they were officially released for bid after talking to Chris. So once the utilities are down Live Oak, any subdivision or re-subdivision plating that the Salinas do, they would be required to extend those utilities at their own expense.
But so also, I never fully understand density. How many Salinas houses can go on private property if we have utilities in place?
Well, right now, if they replatted it, depending on frontage, they have almost 5 acres. They may have to build a road to fully develop that out. If I'm looking, Minimum, say they develop at R1A standards, that's,
But under R2, they can just build a whole bunch of houses without replatting, correct?
they could build an apartment style, that depending on our density is weird, so depending, I can give you, units per acre, because it's based on the number of bedrooms, so. That's kind of the hard part. I can tell you how many lots they could get out of it. Let's see, 43, 5, 60. So roughly 217,000 square feet. We could get about 48 lots max on R1A, but you're gonna, with the frontage requirements, they would have to build roads and cul-de-sacs, and so we probably figured about 20 units most likely once you kind of go through there. Now, if they wanted to do kind of an apartment complex and all live in one structure, no shared walls. So they could break it up into, they could do townhomes, they could do duplexes. It really is wide open. They could do short-term rentals. There's no plan for that at this point, so most likely they would fall under the new regulations that are coming in if they're adopted as presented. So because they're not near any commercial, they would get one STR per lot. They wouldn't be able to do the facilities that we've been seeing moving forward, so.
We gotta get this passed, there's more Salinas to show.
Yeah. Andrew's here. Go see.
Day late and the dollar short.
They keep coming in.
So as an R2 property, after the STR ordinance is passed, they're only allowed to have how many STRs on that property?
One unoccupied
Unoccupied
per
per
lot.
lot. And this is one lot. This is coming in as a single lot?
It's unplatted, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tracks right now. And I would remind you, they could get 6 STR permits today.
Correct.
They submit it. And also remember, even under R1, they could still plat out probably 15, 20 lots under that density, and they could all have an STR even under the proposed as long as they're owner occupied. So I don't want to say R2 is the only way STRs can be there. So just so we're all kind of clear.
Yeah.
And then that's assuming everything passes. So we're not there yet.
Do y'all have where are you planning on doing access to the Salinas building? Y'all from smokehouse or?
It would be off of Live Oak. Each individual parcel has their own access.
Off lot.
Off of Live Oak, correct.
So your plan is to keep the lots all separated the way they are today?
Yep, no, there is no conglomerate, there is no brand, design, nothing like that. It's just each family to have the ability to build up to 3, 4 homes for our kids.
From a city development perspective, as we're getting more homes out this way, like what sort of population triggers the need for bigger roads? Those sorts of things.
That's a little bit of a function of our future land use plan and thoroughfare plan. Depending on how we classify that and what we see moving out in that area. There are plans to do some improvements to that. We've already had some properties along Live Oak further down. As they're going through the platting process, they're giving money for curbs and pavement width. We are going to widen that street at some point, but someone said it's several years down the road. And that's dependent on council and CIP funding. So that'll be the driver of when those improvements take place. Some of it may be done as part of the water line if we start getting those. And so if Mr. Salinas replats, then they would have an escrow that they would have to pay into for the widening and the pavement width. So we do have plans to widen and pave that. But generally, immediate impacts like this aren't really done until we do a TIA. And TIAs aren't triggered until I think 1,000 trips a day. And so right now what we're seeing is not gonna trigger a TIA.
Are we getting a cumulative effect of all the development along Smokehouse Road and Live Oak at this intersection that is going to trigger a TIA?
Well,
Traffic impact.
and what's interesting is we do have a TIA on file. I have not gone through that one. Garrett and Chris did that, about a year or two ago. And so that's why we came up with plans that we do have to widen these roads and do that. But, when we look at the availability of land, that have utilities, right now, or especially vacant land or low dense population areas, there's really roughly two places, Friendship Lane, both sides of 87. And then I think this is kind of the next area, because once we get those utilities out there, that land and that development is gonna probably, development, utilities begets development. This will be something, areas that we look at. Our comp plan obviously is a little bit outdated. Our future land use assumptions are behind. We have narrowed down consultants to 2. We'll be doing interviews in the next month. So we will be starting the comp plan process to kind of discuss. This is one of our areas of concern along with Friendship Lane, just because of the nature of development patterns.
So when you're talking about paving, are you just talking about West Live Oak, or are you including Smokehouse Road?
I believe there was some plans for Smokehouse Road, but right now we're focusing on Live Oak. I think that's higher on the schedule, especially since we're going through with the utility extensions.
And so what about the extension of Windcrest to Smokehouse?
That one is probably a ways away, because we just got through the annexation process, and so we do have some timelines. State gives us up to 4 years. We try and do it in 2, but there's going to be some issues there with that, just because one of the properties that the road goes through didn't come in as part of that annexation, so we'll have to work those logistics.
And when we annexed before, did we go all the way down to Piker Road or just to Windcrest?
Map. I think we actually went past Pica a little bit.
Almost to the Tigadale?
Mhm.
That's what I recall.
And so if the owners have, or the adjacent landowners have questions on the TIA, I would ask that they contact Garrett Vaughn. He has that draft. We had someone else recently ask for that we sent that out. And that'll kind of give you an idea of what the traffic impacts are with those assumptions.
Me more than anything, just the.
Yeah, I've seen that traffic.
It's
intense.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I remember when we made the decision to do the annexation and do the land use and everything, we fully expected that development would occur between Live Oak and Tigadale Road. That was kind of the target development area particularly for higher density, middle density residential, because we need the residential, and this was a perfect spot to put it.
Right. I mean, when you look from a utility standpoint, I mean, we're the hill country, but this is relatively flat.
Right.
Flat
It's,
land.
it's the cheapest, easiest building area, other than Friendship, for us to build. Anything north is practically impossible, and this is the best dirt to build in. To the 2 gentlemen sitting there, are you in the rural residential side on the north side of Live Oak, or are you down in the annexed area on the south side of Live Oak? So you're on the rural residential side, and then you, sir?
I'm heading for.
Okay, so you're right. Got it.
Heritage.
Oh, yeah.
I got it right to see.
Okay. Okay.
And that will wait for,
Yes, unless there's other questions or comments.
okay, so let's just go.
I would go in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the cleanest, because if we approve the annexation first, it gets a little, I'd rather just bring it in so that's adjacent to what we've rezoned. Just so it makes sense.
That's what I would do. Yeah. I make a motion we approve Z 2204-1.
Second.
Motion by Jim, second by Tim. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. What about B2?
Make a motion to approve Z 2204, section 2.
Motion by Jim, second by Daryl. Any discussion on B2? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries on that one. Recommendation on B3.
I propose that we approve Z 2204, item 3 as presented.
Motion by Polly. Do I have a second? Second by Jeff. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Make a motion to approve 2204, section 4. As written.
A motion by Jim on B4. Do I have a
Second.
second? Second by Polly. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries on all four.
I noticed another one of them smokehouse people just showed up.
Yeah, he limp, he can't limp again.
Yeah.
Some of us have to work.
Can't let them.
And-
Sorry.
Okay, and these items will go to city council next Monday?
Yes, on the 21st. So just everyone be prepared for a full house. We have some, yes, sir. So we have a few items on the agenda.
Bring your dinner.
Bring
and
dinner.
Pillow,
We
whatever.
will most likely try to change the order to get kind of all that other business out of the way, so y'all don't have to stay the whole way.
Very much, thank you. Joey, call the mayor, that would help.
All right, thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
All right. So let's go to action item number 6C, discussion, consideration, and action regarding request P 2204 by Randy Jeniges. I'm sorry if I get that wrong, for a final plat for Frieden Subdivision Phase 2.
So the applicant is looking at phase 2 final plat, it's approximately 16 acres. This will be 28 new residential lots and 1 open space lot. There will be streets constructed. It'll be interlocking street, continuation of that existing road with a 50-foot right-of-way. Utilities are available to serve the property in the area, but they will need to extend those to all of their lots at their expense. There has been standard trail, public utility, and drainage easements that were provided across these parcels. Parkland dedication is not required. This is part of their approved PUD documents. They've done some parkland, kept it open. So that's been all taken care of. So we're looking just final approval, and we have approval, staff recommends approval of the final plat. We do have some conditions. Engineering asked that they sign and seal a drainage letter, just to make sure that they're gonna adhere to our stormwater ordinance. They forgot to sign and seal that. And then the city's gonna say that the final plat shall not be recorded until all public improvements, roads and infrastructure are installed. If they do want to file and record that plat prior to the completion of those, then they would have to submit a financial surety or letter of credit to the city to cover the cost of whatever's not constructed.
All right, thank you, sir. Any questions, comments from anybody?
I noticed those lots got listed today. For sale.
Well, I hope they're ready for their financial surety, so they'll need to get those in.
I make a motion we approve 22, P 2204
Motion.
with staff's conditions.
Thank you, sir.
All right, a motion by Jim. Do I have a second? Second by Cindy. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries on item C. Go to action item 6D. Discussion, consideration, and action regarding request P 2205 by Randy Jeniges for a final plat for Frieden Subdivision Phase 5.
So this is actually a one lot final plat. This is for phase 5. This is going to be what's known in the PUD as their mixed use lot. They are proposing to possibly construct some type of commercial with residential. The residential will be most likely 55 and up focused community. We've kind of gone through and seen some concept plans. They've been at DRC. They're still finalizing that. They want to get the plat finalized first. So they will have to address some improvements to Mariposa Drive. That's required by the PUD. And then extend some of their own right of way, which is all 50 feet. Again, utilities are there. And they'll have to extend those to serve the adjacent properties. This was all spelled out. It's in line with their PUD and annexation agreement. And staff is recommending approval with two conditions. One is that they need to provide documentation for the construction responsibilities of Mariposa Drive and Otto Eckhart Road for this lot and future lots. So there's some ownership issues. There was a lot of things going on with the PUD on negotiations on who was going to do that. So we just need from them some documentation on who is responsible and what those triggers are. And then the same thing for the recordation of the plat. They will need to either do those improvements or provide a financial certainty.
All right, thank you. Jason, any
Are the
questions?
streets in Mariposa public streets or they private streets?
Mariposa subdivision is private, but the access road is public
Yes.
At what point?
to where it dead ends. Take a left to go in the subdivision. Mariposa goes straight,
Straight? Okay.
right behind the Heritage Hill Country.
Okay.
I don't think it's a city street. Yes.
It is now.
Yeah, so there's some other ownership issues there because the roadway, I think, is wider than what the easement is. And so there's some things going on.
Oh, that's interesting.
So Garrett was bringing me up to speed on all of that. And that's why we're asking for that documentation, just to make sure we know who's going to be constructing what, so that when we do our inspections, we're sending those letters to the right people.
Any comment?
No,
Okay. You ready for a motion? Make a motion, we approve P 2205 with the two staff conditions.
Second.
A motion by Jim, second by Polly. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that motion carries. Let's go to action item number 6E. Discussion, consideration, and action regarding request P 2206 by Paul Mathis of CEC for a final plat for Stone Ridge subdivision phase 11.
So if you recall, we recently annexed this property probably 2-3 months ago. This is the last and final phase in this section. The applicant may look at constructing an additional phase, but this is the last phase that was part of the original agreement that was done approximately 15 years ago, I believe. So looking at this, they're going to do 24 residential lots. They will be extending the Stone Ledge driveway. So Stone Ledge actually is bisected right now by this tract, so they'll actually fill in that connection. That'll improve our fire access and EMS access to the site. So staff recommends approval, but we do have a couple of staff conditions. One was we need to add a note stating drainage easements are privately maintained. They do have to provide documentation for the offsite 30-foot drainage, retaining wall, and sanitary sewer easement. We did notice they were missing their triangular site visibility easements at intersecting streets, so we need to add those. And then they will have to pay their parkland dedication fee. It's $500 per lot. There are 24 lots, roughly $12,000. Again, that we would not record the plat until they constructed, we inspected and accepted utilities, or until they provided financial services. So staff recommends approval with those conditions listed.
Thank you, sir.
They already put streets in now.
They've been planning
All right, anybody have any questions or comments
that.
on
Yeah,
this?
where's this gonna drain to? This thing's pretty much up on the side of the hill. You're back here.
They're gonna, so they're gonna be utilizing the streets. So you'll probably see a little more significant curbing in this area, because that's how they're gonna control and divert that water to some existing ponds. And I believe there was another area that they'll be having some drainage through here that connects to an existing drainage that gets to another street. So drainage is a concern in that area, but ultimately this meets our subdivision and drainage criteria. And they are currently going through their civil construction plans for that.
I make a motion, we approve 2206 with the 5 conditions listed.
Second.
Motion by Jim, a second by Daryl. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries on that. We need to go to item number 3, approval of January 9th. Do we have other minutes to approve? Excuse me, February, but we have January minutes to approve too, or is it? Or do they have to put, we have to put that on
We
the
have to
next
have it on the
agenda?
agenda, though. I
Okay.
didn't realize we had them, forgot
Okay,
we hadn't approved those, so when I made the
Put them on
agenda,
the
I just had the last one. So next meeting, we'll approve those, our special meetings, and then hopefully we'll be gone.
okay. So we'll approve the January 9th minutes.
And
Entertain
Are
motion.
we approving the ones that are in the packet or the ones that were emailed to us? Because there's different versions.
The ones that were emailed with accurate ones.
Is that okay that we're approving them and they weren't included in the? Okay. Should we wait?
It's okay as long as everybody understands what you're referring to. They don't have to be in the packet to be part of the, be considered.
I used to always read the minutes, but I no longer do since.
And this is why we're all glad Sheffield's back.
Emily is the official reader of the minutes.
She red lines them. That's all right.
I move that we approve the February planning and zoning minutes that were emailed to us.
Motion by Emily, a second by Jeff. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries on that. All right, we done for a month now?
I think so. I think so.
Adjourn.
Y'all earned y'all's pay this month, so congratulations.
Can we,
Well, I think you have too. All of y'all have.
can we go off record to ask you, just want to ask some status on STR, what happened since the Monday, anything special?
We have to adjourn the meeting. If you have questions, I would probably come to me individually, just so that I don't follow Daniel.
You can give it up. You can give
Leave,
a factual,
Daniel.
you can give a factual update.
Okay.
Factual updates.
It's no deliberation on it.
So right now, we did go to council. They recommended approval of all the sections of code that y'all did as presented. There was one change, the R1 CUP criteria. They removed the 50% addition, so it's only donut holes and stranded properties that can apply for a CUP.
How was the issue about the corner lot ever resolved? I kind of kept those off.
They actually said one lot line on corner lots,
Okay.
just because there's only two available, because the other two are right away. So
And you never resolved the issue of being across the street from you being on the side.
no, because really the thought process is right of way.
Divides it?
Right of way doesn't require screening. They don't require, so you have to be budding.
Okay.
And so after that, I think everything else was approved with y'all's recommendations. The biggest discussion was 5.401, the special requirements for B&B. So there's several sections that we're looking at rewriting. We'll have those out to council hopefully on Friday. One of them was the house rules. Daniel's going to modify some of that language, clean it up, and give it back. They did change the trash can requirement. Instead of 1 per 4 guests, it's going to be 1 per 6 guests. So we'll monitor that. And then the last one.
That does not apply to single family.
No, this is specifically for short-term rentals. Hopefully one day we can require it for single family, because we have some of those issues there too. And then the last one was the penalty and provision section. There was some discussion and concern on the language and the fine structure. So Daniel's gonna tweak that a little bit, and I think most likely we're gonna come back with kind of what's in the code currently as a fail-safe, and then I think between the adjudication process with its tiered fees and all of that, hopefully we'll make some headway. They did recommend to delete all of the special CUP criteria that we had in 4601. And the thought process there was we already have CUP evaluation criteria. We've already been evaluating STRs in the historic shopping district, overlay district, on that criteria. So instead of coming up with a bunch of new stuff for specific to them, we'll just keep track of what we're using for all uses.
I know sunsetting was a long-term question. I know goes through some of that too. Were they giving you some specific direction to look into that?
So we were given some direction to look at some of the most recent legal cases and what's happening in the courts on sunsetting. Yeah, I think that may be a discussion depending on what comes out, but we weren't we weren't recommended to change any of that. And there was a section on grandfathering that did approve that as presented, so I guess that could possibly change depending on what happens with our discussion on legal issues, but right now, staff is still moving forward that there's no sunset provision.
So point of fact for Daniel, I was in VRBO setting up a place up in Mason. And they give you 3 custom house rule paragraphs that you can utilize. Each one has 150 character maximum. However, there is also, the next tab over is to upload your rental agreement. And in your rental agreement that they have to agree to when they book, it's unlimited because it's a separate Word stroke PDF document. And you can put whatever house rule language you need in the rental agreement itself, and it's part of the contract.
And Airbnb.
Yeah, similar, but for your short description of house rules, you've got basically 450 total characters spread across 3 boxes. But you can also require it to be in the rental agreement, and then the language can be unlimited. So just so you know, there's 2 places.
So one other thing, and it's too late for this particular now, but a lot of cities have flexible development agreements for to promote the right kind of development, but also to limit certain kind of development. Someone coming to the city and requesting something specific. Perfect example is at West Main. I don't see why we could not put in the language that does not turn into this tier. So that's a flexible development agreement. So why can't we introduce that?
I'd have to look into that. The code's not there. I mean, we want to have that discussion and you all want to direct me to bring something back, we can, and then we can inform council. This body does have the authority to have a staff initiate text and code changes. I would probably recommend that we not do that until after the comp plan, just so we can have some kind of better guidance on what that is. As far as the last case on West Main, because it is a CUP, you could put a condition that doesn't happen. I'm not a fan. I mean, we have a similar tool in our planned unit development district. We can customize zoning setbacks and customize land uses. I believe y'all saw that with the Seco project. There were some uses we said no, we're not gonna require those. I would prefer we utilize those tools and really only save it for special occasions. I'm not a fan of the flexible development codes just because for landlocked cities, that's real nice. For cities that grow, we already have those tools in the tool belt, but we can take a look at that if y'all want us to. My request would be that we wait till the comp plan just so we can get all that squared away. We need a motion to. Oh, did we? No, we need a motion to.
I make a motion, we adjourn this thing.
Oh, okay.
I'll make a second. I'm making a second. Second Tim's dead motion. Second.
All right, I have a motion in a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you. Thank you, Shelby.
You better make sure that thing's loaded if you point it.